Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexey, and today what we're gonna be doing is taking a look at our third section of Presonus Faderport 16. So here, first of all, we have 16 displays, and right now you cannot see anything on these displays because of iPhone video quality, but on these displays you can see the names of your audio channels in your session. So for instance, on our first display I can see the name of my first audio channel, which is AD Kick. On my second display I can see the name of my second audio channel here, which is AD Evil Metal Kick. On my third display I can see the name of my third audio channel, which is AD Kick, and so on. So in this case we have 16 displays for 16 audio channels, and we can switch between our audio channels in Studio One by using this select button here. So for instance, if I hit first select button here, my first audio channel, which is AD Metal Kick, will be highlighted. Then if I want to switch to my second audio channel, which is AD Evil Metal Kick, I have to hit second select button here. And now my second audio channel is highlighted. So let's go back to our first audio channel and let's hit our first select button again. Here under our select buttons we have two buttons. So the red one is mute and the yellow one is solo. If we hit solo button here under our first select button, so we can solo our first audio channel, which is AD Metal Kick. And let's hit play button here. So now when our solo button is on, we can hear our channel, which is AD Metal Kick. If I hit red button next to our solo button and our red button is mute, so we can mute our first audio channel. And let's hit play button here again. So we can hear all of our audio channels except our first one, because we muted our first channel here by pressing our red button, which is mute button. To unmute our first channel we have to hit our mute button again. Then under our mute and solo buttons we have our fader. So in this case we can control volume on our audio channel, which is AD Metal Kick, by moving this fader up and down.
Night falls like a soldier, can't sleep, thoughts are bleeding, lost my heartbeat, left.
If we want to solo all of our drums audio channel, and in this case we have 16 audio channels of our drums in our Studio One session, so we can hit solo buttons. Now all of our 16 audio channels of our drums are soloed. Now we have soloed all of our 16 audio channels in our Studio One project of our drums. Now let's hit play button here. And if we want to clear all of our 16 audio channels from our solo mode, so here on our last fourth section of our Presonus Faderport 16 controller, we have to hit solo clear button. And in this case by hitting solo clear button on our final section. When we're hitting solo clear button here, we're turning off our solo mode from each of our audio channels at once. And if we mute our audio channels, for instance, let's mute all of our 16 audio channels here. Now all of our 16 audio channels are muted. So in this case, if we hit our play button here, all of our drums will be muted. And if we want to unmute all of our 16 audio channels at once, so here on our final section, we have to hit mute clear button. Now all of our 16 audio channels are unmuted at once. If in our Studio One session, for instance, we have more than 16 audio channels, so how can we switch between our audio channels? So, for instance, let's go to our 16 audio channel here, and now if we want to work with our audio channels from number 16 to number 32, so here on our first section of our presonus Faderport 16, we have to hit our next button here. And now you can see that all of our faders have changed their position, and now our first channel, which is our drum audio channel, is highlighted here. So we can see that our select button is on. First fader matches to our drums fader in our Studio One project. So if we're gonna be moving our first fader up and down, it will be moving our fader in our Studio One project. So we are starting from number 17 to number 32. So now we can move our faders up and down, and we can work on volume balance of our audio channels between our audio channel 17 and our audio channel 32. So here we can move our faders, and we can move our faders between these audio channels. Once again, by using select buttons here, we can highlight our audio channels. We can solo our audio channels. We can mute our audio channels.
Night falls like a soldier, can't sleep, thoughts are bleeding, lost my heartbeat.
We can use our first and our second sections to work with these audio channels from 17 to 32. And if we want to work with our next audio channels in our session, so in this case, let's highlight in Studio One our next audio channel, which is 33. And here on our first section of Faderport 16, let's hit again our next button. So now we can use faders, and we can use our first section and our second section of our Faderport 16 to work with audio channels starting from number 33 to number 48. So now you can see here the 16 audio channels are soloed. And in this case, when all of our 16 audio channels are highlighted, we don't have to hit each solo button here, but we can hit only the first one when all of our 16 audio channels are highlighted in Studio One. Now let's hit play button here.
Night falls like a soldier, can't sleep, thoughts are bleeding, lost my heartbeat, left my love with the sun, left me feeling so numb.
So now we can hear only our 16 audio channels we have highlighted and we have soloed. And if we want to mute all of our 16 audio channels at once, so in this case we have to hit our first mute button here. And now all of our 16 audio channels are muted. Now let's hit our play button here.
Night falls like a soldier, can't sleep, thoughts are bleeding, lost my heartbeat, left my love with the sun, left me feeling so numb.
So in this case, when our 16 audio channels are highlighted, if your audio channels are highlighted, and it doesn't matter how many, you can use only your first fader here to change volume and to change volume balance of highlighted audio channels. So once again, let's highlight our guitars here, for instance. Let's highlight only 4 audio channels of our guitars. So here you can see our red select buttons on, and it means that our 4 audio channels are highlighted. And in this case, if we want to change volume balance of our guitars, we don't have to use 4 our faders. Our faders will be moving up and down according to our first fader, because our audio channels are highlighted. So let me solo our audio channels here. Let's hit our play button. And now we can change volume, and in this case we can change volume balance of our 4 highlighted audio tracks of our guitars by using only our first fader. But also you can move your second fader. You can move your third fader. So when our audio channels are highlighted, you can move any of these faders to change the volume and to change the volume balance of your audio channels. Now let's go to our very beginning of our session and let's highlight our first audio channel. And to switch between our audio channels, because right now according to our first display we are at our 33rd audio channel, and since we want to use again our very first audio channel in our Studio One session, which is kick, we have to hit here previous button. We have to hit here previous button a couple of times until we see our first select button is highlighted. And now when our first select button is on, we can see that our very first audio channel in our Studio One session is highlighted. So if we move our first fader up and down, we will be changing the volume for our very first audio channel in our Studio One session. But also, for instance, let's highlight all of our drums. You can see that all of our select buttons are on. But besides that, you can see that all of our select buttons have the same color as our drums audio channels. So in this case, if our drums audio channels have blue, something like dark blue color here, so all of our select buttons will be the same color, which is dark blue. If our drums have, I don't know, green color here, all of our select buttons will be glowing green. If our drums are orange or maybe yellow, so all of our select buttons are yellow. If our drums are orange, all of our select buttons are orange. So in this case, it also can be helpful for you to switch between audio channels and to see here on your Faderport which audio channel is which. So in this case, if we are highlighting our base audio channel in Studio One and we see that our select button is green, so we understand that right now we are moving fader up and down and we are changing the volume for our base audio channel in our session. Now let's highlight all of our vocal audio channels and let's hit next button here to switch between our audio channels. And now we can see that some of select buttons are on and only some of our select buttons are blue color, something like light blue color, because our vocal audio tracks in our session in light blue color. So in this case, again, when our vocal audio tracks are highlighted and if we want to change the volume balance for all of our audio tracks at once, we can move only first fader here. Again, we can hit our first solo button here to solo all of our vocal audio tracks at once. We can mute our audio tracks at once by hitting our mute button here, and we can unmute our vocal audio tracks by hitting mute clear button here, or we can unmute our vocal audio tracks by hitting once again our first mute button here. So if we hit once our first mute button here, all of our vocal audio tracks will be muted, and if we hit our first mute button here for the second time, all of our vocal audio tracks will be unmuted. So that's all for today's video. Now you know how you can work with our third section of our presonus Faderport 16 controller. If you want to buy presonus Faderport 16 controller, the link will be in the info box of this video. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.